First You Think is a not-for-profit ministry of the First Unitarian Church of Des Moines. Support us at ucdsm.org today.
The journey to Ithaca is a metaphor for the human journey through life. And the poem tells us that it is better to journey than to arrive. Ithaca tells us that life should not be wasted in forever contemplating some goal or in building up hopes and dreams for the future. Ithaca tells us to be happy in the moment, to enjoy the journey of life. One of the unexpected side effects of living through this pandemic has been an opportunity for us to just be in the moment. That has been a bit difficult and uncomfortable for me. I'm not the kind of person who sets goals 5 years out or even 1 year out, but I do like to consider myself a planner. I like an agenda and a list of things to do. These days, I'm learning to be okay doing nothing and just being. The me that used to work 40 plus hours a week and run 6 kids here, there, and everywhere would be shocked at the me I've become lately. I'm learning that it's okay to spend an afternoon just reading a book or puttering around the house. I'll admit, I've struggled with not being super busy and running here, there, and everywhere since last March. And frankly, it's been worse these past couple of weeks, with my outings limited to due to both the pandemic and the weather. I only left the house once last week. One can only clean so many things, do so much laundry, take so many naps. The librarian at the central pickup window knows me by sight these days. I've struggled to find the meaning in my daily life and routine. I've longed for the end of the pandemic, and at one point, even started planning an elaborate trip for this summer. It involved mountains and camping and whitewater rafting. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like the pandemic is likely to end by this summer. So I've had to look elsewhere for something to plan and something to do. I'm pretty sure I've got what the experts are calling pandemic fatigue. I've been unhappy, and I've blamed it all on COVID with a side of insurrection and worry about the inauguration. Like so many of us, I've been angry and upset about having to make so many changes in my life, like not having Thanksgiving or Christmas with my family. In writing this service, I remembered a book I'd read decades ago called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. In his 1946 memoir, Frankl wrote about what the gruesome experience of Auschwitz taught him about the primary purpose of life, the quest for meaning, which sustained those who survived. He wrote, "We who lived in the concentration camps can remember the men who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." Certainly, living through a pandemic is nowhere near as difficult as surviving a concentration camp. But there are lessons in man's search for meaning that can help us reflect on our journey. One of them is the idea that happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue. You have to let it happen by not caring about it. Frankl writes, "A human being is not one in pursuit of happiness, but rather in search of a reason to become happy." In the book, Dr. Frankl introduces us to a school of psychology and philosophy known as logotherapy, which is based on the idea that we are strongly motivated to live purposefully and meaningfully, and that we find meaning in life as a result of responding authentically and meaningfully to life's challenges. How then are we finding meaning right now? We must continue our journeys to our own personal ithacas, and we must do the best we can at any given moment. We make the best we can of each day. We live the life that is in front of us. We take the naps and read the books and do all of the things and none of the things. We do the things that bring us happiness in the moment, no matter how big or how small. We stop worrying that what we are doing isn't enough. We take time to experience life in the moment. And we don't worry about what's happening tomorrow or next week or this summer. As British psychologist Robert Holden wrote, "Beware of destination addiction," a preoccupation with the idea that happiness is in the next place, the next job, or with the next partner. Until you give up the idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. So how do we find happiness in the midst of this global pandemic? We let it ensue. We let it happen. We relish the afternoons just reading a book or doing a puzzle. We bake the bread and enjoy it with our dinner. We do the craft projects that were placed on the back burner of our busy lives. We purge and organize our closets. We meditate. We simply sit and breathe and enjoy the winter sun. Even though my life has been experienced differently these past 10 months of the pandemic, a Facebook meme recently reminded me that everything has changed, and yet I am more me than I have ever been. And as for me, I will let myself do the things that interest me in the moment. I will read the books for the book club. I will watch the old movies. I will relish the stolen afternoon naps. Maybe I will even finally figure out how to crochet something more than one long string. Mr. Rogers once wrote, "In an average lifetime, a person walks about 65,000 miles. That's 2.5 times around the world. I wonder where your steps will take you. I wonder how you'll use the rest of the miles you're given. May you seek out your own continuing life education, and over time, over your whole lifetime, may you grow in faith and reverence, uprightness and morals, knowledge of language and arts, forgiveness, honesty, commitment, maturity, and your capacity to love. Discovering the truth about ourselves is a lifetime's work, but it's worth the effort. Thank you.